Welcome back to the Leadership, Innovation, and Action interview series. I'm your host, Megan Huber, right here inside of the Structured Freedom for Impact-Driven Coaches Facebook group. And I'm super excited to welcome my next guest, Miss Shamika Tinkerson. We have only known each other for a short while, but I have a feeling we're going to be fast friends. And from what I've already seen, I totally love your spirit, your heart, how focused you are in your business, how legit you are with what you teach in your business. So I'm super excited to dive into this conversation because we're going to talk about how to make sales with and close high ticket clients and what is actually working right now. As we all know, we are kind of in the middle of worldwide global chaos and uncertainty. And all of you here are business owners, whether you're a coach or an expert or a leader of some kind, you're running a business online. And I'm sure that if you're in this group and you're tuning into these videos in this interview series, you're someone who wants to rise above the noise and the chaos and the just crazy uncertainty. You want to continue to lead your community, and you also want to continue to take action in your business and make money in your business so that you can stay in business and be consistent and sustain that. So welcome, Shamika. I'm super excited. How about you?
I'm super excited to be here. Really, I've been looking forward to this conversation. I'm let's get it. Let's talk.
It's going to be awesome. So tell us a little bit about you and your background.
So if I were to drill down what I do, I'm a sales coach and mentor. What I do is I help women who are experts, service-based business owners, speakers, charge more and sell more of their services with zero apologies. No apologizing for this stuff.
I love that. Love that. So this conversation is going to be super focused on high-end sales and high-end clients. So just for some context for everyone listening, what does that actually mean? When we say high-end sales, high-end clients, what are we talking about?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked that because I think it's relevant, right? What's high-end to one person may not be high-end to another. So for the purposes of this conversation, I'm talking about a minimum of $10,000 or more.
Okay, perfect. All right. I love it. Okay, let's just dive right on in. All right, my first question, because I know when people start hearing big numbers, and look, it is all relative. So to a lot of people, they hear the number 10,000, they're like, oh my gosh, that's huge. How am I going to close a $10,000 sale? And I imagine one of the first places where people's minds go to is who the heck is out there investing $10,000? And if there are people investing $10,000, our minds go to, where do I find these people?
Yeah, where do they live? Where's this land of the people with $10,000 or more?
Yeah, so shine some light on this for us.
So here is the beautiful thing about the work that I do. I honestly believe that pretty much everybody, if you have a business, you have people around you who are these high quality, they will invest whatever they need to get the result that they're seeking. They love to invest in themselves as long as they get that return on investment or the result that they're seeking. And I believe that we all have them all around us. You don't have to go build another audience. You don't have to go searching for the land of the high-end client, right? I think a lot of people think that that's the case. What I found in my work of doing this, every time someone comes to me and they say, but my audience doesn't buy at that level. And then we put the right offer out, people start coming out of the woodwork that have been following them all along, and they pay $20,000, $25,000, $10,000. So I want to start there and say, I believe that you have people all around you who would invest at those levels. You just haven't put an offer out there that resonates with them or that they believe solves the problem that they currently have. So everything you say is going over their head. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you don't have to sell a $10,000 offer, right? What I'm saying works for whatever your highest capacity to receive is. The things I'm going to talk about today, they're going to pertain to you. So if your highest level offer right now is $2,000 or $5,000 or $3,000 or whatever that is for you because you've been selling lower than that, then just apply it to where you currently are.
Love it. Okay. So another question I have for you, because this is something that I hear really often especially from coaches. And I don't just hear it from people who are new in their business. I hear it from people who've been in business for a few years. And there's this idea that before I can ever get to a place where I'm offering high ticket, whatever that means to someone, whether that's $5,000, $10,000, or $50,000, they think that they have to go create some tiny little course that costs $500, and they've got to get really good at selling that first. And what I will hear people say is actually this specifically: my audience needs help in area XYZ, and I'm going to charge them just $500 so I can prepare them and get them ready to take my bigger program at $5,000 or $10,000. And so they're working so hard to sell something for $500. And we all know, in order to make any kind of money selling something for $500, you better have a big old audience.
Right.
But it's really true, Shamika. Do we have to start out with the small stuff before we jump to the bigger high ticket sales?
Absolutely not. And I'm actually on the opposite end of that spectrum. So what you're talking about, Megan, is what most people would call the ascension model, right? It's like you sell the $97 thing to the $497 thing to the $997. And eventually they'll buy your $10,000 offer. And so there's a couple of truths that I want people to understand about that model and why it doesn't work. Well, let's say 3 truths. So one, you just mentioned earlier, you got to have a big old audience to be able to make the kind of money you want to make and sell a $97, a $997, or $497 thing. And most people don't have hundreds of thousands of people in their audience to be able to do that, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is people want their problem solved. So I want you to think about this. If you're out there and you sell a $497 or a $997 offer, what often happens and what I see is that we solve a little bit of the problem because we want to have more of the problem to solve later and lead them to the next thing and the next thing. I'm all about results and big results. So I'm like, solve your clients, your highest quality clients' biggest headache and problem first, create results. And those results will allow you to charge whatever you want to charge to whoever you want to charge to, whoever is willing to pay it, right? Within reason, right? And by reason, I mean, there's a return on investment, right? If you can solve their biggest problem, you're going to have a crap ton of raving fans out there, and you will never run out of consistent leads or clients. If we're solving this small problem, that doesn't quite do it, your people are already off looking for the person who can solve the biggest problem that they actually have. They may not stay with you for that entire time. And then the last part of like solving the small thing, this is the one that gets people because they don't realize this. The person who's going to buy your $97 offer is not often the same person who will invest in your $10,000 offer. Exactly. I'm a $10,000 offer person or more. Right? I have big problems in my business that I want to solve. I'm not running around town looking for who's $37, $57 thing, I need to purchase right now because I have huge problems that I know I'm going to have to invest in. Yeah. So that's why the messaging doesn't land with the people. And you think everybody in your audience can afford you. That's not the case. You're just not solving a big enough problem.
I love that. I think it totally reframes it, because I think that what happens to people is, number one, what you're saying, they really just think, well, those people do not exist. But to your point, you're putting out an offer that they're not interested in. And that's Absolutely. Why you don't have people in your audience. So it's shifting that. And I think that people beat themselves up internally. Like it's me, I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm not worthy enough, or I'm not valuable enough. And when they get into that headspace, they're not focused on getting clear on what that bigger problem actually is. And it's literally, I think, and you probably think too, it's literally like right in front of you. It's it's sitting right there in front of you.
Yes, absolutely. I think sometimes too, we're afraid to say that we can solve the bigger problem because it requires a bigger promise.
Oh, talk about that. Because the high client is also looking for, would you say, yes, they have a bigger problem, but they're also looking for a bigger promise.
Right. They're looking for a bigger promise, and they're looking for, excuse my language, guys, the most badass person for the job. They're looking for the person that can create the results. And so if you don't show up in that way, and you're afraid to say, I am the most badass person for the job and I get results, and this is how I do that, this is my framework, this is my methodology, then they are not listening to you. They're not listening to you say, here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Right? Follow me, walk this way. Their question and the thing that's in their head right now is, who is the expert that I'm looking for to help me solve this exact problem? And if your languaging is all about how to raise people up so that they understand what you're selling, which is usually what you're doing, you're educating at a $97 level that, oh my gosh, you really need this thing. Let me show you how. And here's a taster, as opposed to doing something that I call proof of work, consistently showing these are the results that my clients get. Here's how we recently solved this problem. Here's why I'm the best person for the job, and positioning yourself as the authority and the expert. A lot of people are afraid to make big promises and to talk about themselves in that way.
Why are we afraid to make the big promises?
Well, I mean, there's always this question, what if I can't get the result? And that only starts when you haven't honed your craft. So here's the thing. People who are masterful at their craft, we've been taught to like diminish the fact that we're good at what we do, that we're brilliant, right? We don't want to be braggadocious. We don't want to be pompous or seem arrogant. And so we pretend like we're not as great as we actually are. And so the fear of the big promise is actually, you don't want to be, you're afraid you're going to come off looking like a jerk. But in reality, I want you to think about this. If you needed a massive surgery, let's say brain surgery, and you had the choice of 2 doctors to go to, right? Would you go to the doctor that says, well, you know, I think I could help you, you know, just give me an opportunity? Are you going to go to the person that says, I've seen this over and over again. I've done this time and time again. This is nothing we can't handle. Here are some results. If you want to look at some past patients, who are you going to go to?
Option number 2.
Right. So as a business owner who solves problems for people, why would you position yourself in any other way or in any other light?
Okay. I love this kind of a conversation because this is something I talk to my clients about too. And it's like, who is a higher level client who is going to invest more money? What type of person, what type of personality are they looking for? And I've even had prospects say to me on calls, I'm looking for someone who is going to challenge me.
Yes.
So can you speak to like some of the qualities and characteristics? Because I believe it's in all of us, whether we consider ourselves to be an introvert, like I'm an introvert, and I think you're an extrovert, right?
I am.
Okay. But we both can command higher price point programs. So just because you're an introvert or shy or whatever, doesn't mean you can't. But can you speak a little bit to some of the qualities and traits that a higher end client who's going to invest $10,000 to $50,000, $100,000, what are they looking for in someone that they're going to work with?
Yeah, they're definitely looking for a level of certainty and confidence, because they want to be assured that they are giving whatever it is that it could be their love life. It doesn't matter. It could be their health, that they're giving it over to the best person for the job. Go back to, you know, the surgeons. Your life is in someone's hand. It doesn't matter what part of your life.
Yeah.
Right. Your life, you're giving that over to someone else to help you and support you in handling it. And you've got to be able to trust them so that you can kind of just lay back and float with them and do your part while they do their part. So there's a level of certainty that they're looking for. My clients, yes, they're looking for somebody who can hold their power. So I work with really powerful women, and they don't often have people in their lives that will challenge them, that will call them on their BS, because their BS sounds like great stuff to everybody else. They can talk a good game. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to fly with me. Yeah. And so they're looking for someone that can, they're often the people who are holding everyone else.
Yep.
Right? People who invest at a higher level, they're usually leaders of some sort, right? Mm-hmm. And because they are leaders of some sort, they don't often have people in their lives that can hold them to a high standard, that can be a them for them. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like you can't do brain surgery on yourself. So if you needed the brain surgery and you were the brain surgeon, you would be looking for someone who could be you for you.
Exactly. Exactly. I love it. I remember, I think I was listening to a call. Shamika and I, for those of you who don't know both of us super well, we work with the same coach. So she and I were in the same program. We have the same coach. And I think you have actually worked with this person like for a lot of years.
A long time.
Like decades. But I heard him say one time, this was probably like 2 years ago, and he was talking about a sales call he was having. And it was for a 50,000, I think he was offering a program at that time, years ago, at $50,000. Mm-hmm. And the prospect did not hire him because she wanted to invest more than $50,000. And so at that time, he wasn't commanding more money, but I remember so clearly what he said. She said to him, I'm looking to invest $100,000. And if you don't have a program for $100,000, then I'm going to go find somebody else. And he didn't close the sale.
Absolutely.
And I share that because, to your point, there are people out there. And I mean, you and I do the same thing. Like every year, I kind of have decided where I'm going to stretch myself in terms of investing in myself with a high-level coach, mastermind, or multiple or whatever. And I'm not going to go buy something that costs $5,000.
Right.
I'm not even going to go buy something that's $10,000. Usually it's like multiple 5 figures.
Right.
So there are absolutely people who are looking for that. And you and I are two of those people.
Right.
So
I think it's part of the sales process, like you being able to hold people to investing in themselves. When you walk through a scary investment, it's easy it doesn't matter that it can be 2,000 that's scary for this person, and your investment didn't have to be 2,000. So if I've done a $50,000 investment and someone's afraid of a $2,000 investment, it's easy for me to walk them through that because I've been there. I felt the fear. So for me, I'm constantly stretching myself. I just recently did. Like I'm on a call with someone and I'm going back and forth because I'm like, there's a certain dollar amount where I'm like, I could do that all day, no problem. And then they give me this other dollar amount and I'm hemming and hawing. I'm going back and forth in my own brain. And I was like, oh, shoot.
Oh, no.
Just send me the link for the other one.
Yeah.
Right. Because it was the first time in like 3 years that an investment scared me. And I'm like, okay, you can't be 3 years out not pushing yourself to take that scary leap.
Yeah.
Because how can you do that for other people or support other people through it when you no longer know what it feels like to be afraid to invest in yourself, right?
Yep. Let's get into that part of the conversation here. And let's talk about the actual sales conversation. I have an associate coach that works inside of one of my programs, and she actually made a post yesterday. It's such good like data to collect. And she said, what's your biggest struggle when it comes to sales? I'd say 80% of the people who commented on that post said, I don't know what to say in the conversation, or I don't know, like, what are the right words to use so that I don't come across as pushy or salesy or making people think like I just want their money. So let's get into like the sales conversation piece a little bit.
Sure. Okay, so this is going to be kind of harsh when I say this, because this is what I believe. If you're really, really concerned about being pushy or really concerned about, coming off as salesy or people not liking you because you're asking for money or money hungry, there is an element of you that is doing that thing, right? And you're more worried about you than you are the prospect. And them getting to their bigger vision, their purpose. And so the thing you don't want to be is pushy, self-centered, all of those things. And guess what? You're being pushy and self-centered. So I want to back up to the element of you that's probably being that. Whenever clients come to me and they're like, I don't know what to say because I don't want them to think I just want their money.
Yeah.
And I'll ask that client, are you looking for the sale? Yes. And this particular client at that point in time probably really needs a sale. The only reason why that's coming up is because the undercurrent is you do really want their money.
Yeah.
And so we have to pull ourselves out of that, the end result, you don't want to be attached to whether or not they say yes or no. That's the first thing. And the second thing is get really, really clear. I'm like, the truth will always outsell a lie. If I am looking for somebody to buy from me, I'm upfront about it. I don't go beat around the bush and say, hey, let's do a connection call and then hope that I'm going to shift them into a sales call. All of those types of things where you think you're just being nice and warming people up first, those are the things that make you feel shifty and shady.
Yeah.
Tell the truth about why you're connecting with people. Tell the truth about what you really want. If you want them as a client, then say, I want you as a client. Don't pretend like you want to do a connection call. Right? So there's always this, if there's the little undercurrent there of, I don't want to seem this way. There's probably some reason why you feel like it may even come across that way. So just take a step back and go, you can journal it out. You can write it out. Okay, what's really going on with me? Why am I concerned about this?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's also because you've had experiences in the past where people have made you feel that way.
Yeah.
And the way that we rectify that is you just treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah. You know, I have heard a phrase. I think I heard this from Michael Burnoff. Do you know who that is?
I don't. I've heard his name.
Okay. So I'm in a couple of his programs, and he said something that I had never actually heard someone say before. And he goes, people are so afraid of risking the relationship. And
Yes.
because their biggest fear is risking the relationship, then what they're doing is they're not showing up powerfully.
Right.
They're not holding people to a higher standard. Is that something that, whether you've experienced in the past or you see that with your clients, that they have this big fear around, but what if I lose the relationship? What if this person doesn't like me? Or I've known this person for a long time and they're going to like bounce from my community or go say mean things about me.
Yeah. So I think this is more like you getting into the higher level of it. At some point, the purpose that you're here on the planet for, the fact that they want something bigger for themselves, you have to be willing to be even more uncomfortable than they are and risk losing. I tell my clients all the time, today I want you to go too far. Because I promise you, you're too far and it's not far enough. It's just the feeling of going too far. So I press them. I'm like, go too far in your sales conversations. Push to the point it's beyond uncomfortable for you. And they usually end up getting sales because they're challenging people. You can never, and I have a friend who said this once and it's just it's stuck with me. You'll never be able to negotiate something you're not willing to lose or walk away from. It doesn't mean that you're going to lose it, but you've got to be willing to risk the rejection, the sale, the relationship, the everything, if you're going to be able to get people to the point where they can see their own fears and move themselves to the point of decision. And a sales conversation, that's really all it is this powerful conversation that where you're guiding somebody through their own fears, uncertainty to a decision of yes or no. Do they really want this thing, right? Is now the time that they're going to say yes? Is this the vehicle that they're going to use? And you've got to be willing. When it's time to talk about money, when it's time to ask for the business, they're going to be uncomfortable. That's a given. Why? Because change is coming, right? They're on the edge of their terror barrier, right? If you guys have ever seen that model of how we move through fear or how change happens, the unknown is scary to us. We are creatures of habit. We like certainty. And when you don't know what's on the other side, fear will always well up. So in every conversation, when you're asking, every sales conversation where you're asking someone to make a decision about your program, there will always be fear and uncertainty. Mm-hmm. Are you willing to be even more uncomfortable than they are in that moment?
Yep.
I am. I'll sit through tears. I will sit through awkward silence as long as I need to. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it can also be extremely powerful and pivotal to people stepping into what they say they want for themselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've got a really good example of this. And it kind of goes along with like what's going on in our world right now. And I had someone who's actually in a program of mine right now and is moving up into my higher level mastermind program. And we were scheduled to have a conversation. We had our conversation. She joined the program. But like 2 days before the conversation, she emailed me and her husband got laid off from his job. And I found out, and they've got 5 kids together. She's now like going to be running everything, supporting everybody, 2 kids in college. And so we had our call yesterday. And I also found out that her husband has been at the same job with the same company for 30 years. Wow. So not only did he just lose his job and get laid off, but when you think about like somebody who's dedicated like 30 years of their life to this thing, they've never been unemployed. So I imagine, Shamika, like new things are coming up in people's lives right now. Like there are people who have a business, but their spouse has a job and their spouse might be losing their job. They might have kids. They might have kids in college. There's all these expenses. So I imagine that some of the things that people are afraid of right now, or the way that they're talking about their fears, There's a lot of uncertainty with our economy right now. So in terms of like the false beliefs or the fears or the objections or the types of things that are coming up in your sales conversations and that people here are going to have in their sales conversations, we don't want to be afraid of it to a point where we're avoiding having those conversations. But is there like, have you shifted at all, or is there like a new way that you're navigating sales conversations with what is going on in our world today?
Yeah. So there's two things. There's one way that's an old way that I believe is beautiful. And when it comes to objections in my camp, it's not about overcoming them. It's about partnering with people through them, right? We partner with our prospects over the phone to find out what's really going on with them and how can we support them through this? Is it something they're willing to move through? That's the first thing. And then the second thing is we've come up with all kinds of options to support people, right? Because we understand that there is a lot of uncertainty. So some high level sales skills that you need to understand, when is it a real excuse? When is it it's always valid. I mean, we're always going to validate and acknowledge people for how they're feeling, but you've got to be able to discern the difference between a fear-based excuse and a reason, right? A real reason. I won't say a valid reason, right? I'll say a real reason. And when you can do that, then you can offer opportunities. So there's things we're doing now, like we're offering flex payments, right? We're offering flexibility in our program. And flex payments doesn't mean you have to slash your rates down, right? It doesn't even mean you have to extend it beyond the program. You can do that. But one of the simplest ways you can offer a flex payment, like for us, I have a program where there has never been a payment plan on it. Now I'm offering a payment plan. So if people need it, they can have that certainty of cash flow, right? And that's not like, oh my gosh, I can't afford that. That's like, hey, I don't know if I should be doing this right now with this money or tucking it away, right? And so, okay, how can we give them some breathing room so that they can know that they can invest, get the support that they need so they can grow their businesses, in my case, right? And not be worried about whether or not they're going to be able to feed their kids the next month.
Right.
Or 6 months from now because of everything that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's really about like holding space for it's really about holding space for them and holding space for the higher version of themselves. That's what I'm hearing you say.
You know, one thing I think it's important to bring up about objections too, you can never deal with or support someone through an objection that you yourself currently are holding.
Ooh, that's like a truth bomb.
Yeah. My first lesson in this actually came from the mentor that we have together. And I used to do sales calls for him. I don't know if you know that.
I did not know that.
So I was on his team and I used to do sales calls. And the first week I'm like, man, I'm killing it. I'm getting all these sales, right? And he calls me. He's like, hey, can we get on a call? Because he was like monitoring, but not really monitoring. He was just letting me do my thing. And he's like, let me get on my, let's get on a call. I'm like, cool, we get on a call. And he's like, so I noticed a thing. And the thing that I noticed is that everybody that you're enrolling is on a payment plan. Here's the thing. He was so used to people just dropping the money.
Yeah.
When he would do a sales calls, they would I think it was like either a $6,000 or a $10,000. I think it was a $6,000 program if they paid in full. And so he was like, man, all of these people are on payment plans. And he thought it was kind of weird because when he was doing the sales calls, people would just pay the $6,000. He goes, let me ask you a question. I said, okay. He goes, if I were to offer this program to you right now, would you need a payment plan? And I was like, of course. He was like, uh-huh. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow. Wow.
And so what happens is when we can resonate with somebody's reasoning for not moving forward, a lot of times we won't challenge it because we're applying it to through our own lens and our own situation instead of removing ourselves out of it.
Wow.
After that conversation, the next 3 people that I signed up paid in full for the program because I became aware. So if you're having thoughts about needing to talk to your husband first, money, possibility of money fears or losing clients, you'll notice that those objections actually will show up on your calls and you will not know how to handle them because you just believe it. You're like, oh yeah, you don't say it consciously. subconsciously something inside of you ticks a box and says, okay, that's cool. No problem. We don't have to do this right now.
Yep.
So you want to be aware.
And I bet in that moment, because we've all experienced this in our sales calls with different things. Right. I bet in that moment, you know, the word that I think a lot of us use is feeling triggered. And I bet to a degree, we feel like a little triggered, or like your temperature goes up, your armpits start sweating, and your heart starts beating a little bit, because they're activating that and sometimes subconscious belief inside of you that's being brought to the surface. And then it's like, oh, okay. Like, just let me know when you're ready.
Right.
And then
you have this thought of like, how dare I push somebody else to do this when I wouldn't even do it myself?
Exactly. Yeah. I think that is like, okay, listener, if you haven't gotten anything out of this conversation, like, please get that, because I think that is happening so often in people's conversations that they're having. And it's where their fears are coming from, because they know, again, like maybe subconsciously, that they've got certain objections and they absolutely do not know how to handle them, or they're not willing or able to handle them in a sales conversation. And then those people are just going on to the next person. And then you find out, Shamika, you find out.
Right. Like, they pay $50,000 for somebody else's program.
Thing you do, who does the same thing you do. Like, what is happening? I remember that happened to me in 2017, and I was closing like a lot of my sales, but there were a few that were not closing. And literally like 6 or 8 weeks later, I'd see them, and I always keep in touch with people, and they'll tell me like, I'm so happy I'm working with so-and-so. And then I go research so-and-so, and I'm like, what's going on there? And a lot of it's what you're talking about.
I also think there's this thing subconsciously that we do where we project onto people. Mm-hmm. And so in the tonality of our language, when we make our offer, because we have this subconscious conversation going on, we're kind of telling them, don't buy from me. It's okay. Yeah. Give me an excuse, right? Oh. They're searching for that certainty, and energetically it's not there because you have this conversation going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so huge, Shamika. Okay. So let's kind of wrap things up. If you were going to give people like 2 or 3 tips or like action steps that they can start doing, like literally they can start doing it tomorrow and they can start doing it every single day to work towards closing high-end sales, like what would those 2 or 3 things be?
I think the first thing is take inventory of what you have and decide if you actually, because the word pivot is out there a lot. Right? Decide if you actually need to pivot. I'm not a fan of pivot. I'm a fan of shifting. And you need to determine, do you need to do a micro shift, a macro shift, or a massive shift to your offers, right? Because sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's just a micro shift in your offers with your messaging, right? Making sure that it's not tone deaf, making sure that that the problem that's in the top of mind awareness of your client is what you're solving right now. And top of mind awareness problems for clients today are very different than they were 60 days ago, 90 days ago. So you don't necessarily need to throw your whole business model out, but take a look at your offers and go, okay, where can I provide people with that certainty that they're craving? I believe we're in a connection economy. Where can I provide people with this ability to connect more and be supported more? Because when uncertainty is there, all we want is an anchor. Right? We want something that we can hold on to. I heard somebody say the other day, a life raft, right? Mm-hmm. We're not looking for the yacht. We're not looking to be catapulted into our, biggest future right now. Right now, we're looking for certainty, support, calm, surety, all of those things. And so where can you put those things into your offer? And then look at your pricing and do the same thing. Micro shift, macro shift, massive shift. Sometimes it's just the ability to put in a flex payment plan as opposed to slashing your rates and doing a $97, recession-proof offer. Saw a lot of those, right? Yep. Recession-proof your business. I'm like, we're not quite in a recession yet.
Exactly.
So I would say, look at your offers, look at your messaging, look at your pricing, and take inventory and determine, do I really need to change everything, or how can I really support people from the heart? And then don't be afraid right now to make offers, because people are buying.
Yep.
They are buying at a high level. Mm-hmm. And they will buy from you if you can solve the biggest problem that they have right now by entering the conversation that's currently in their head.
Yep.
right? It's survival, right? It's support. For some people, it's support or growth, depending on where they are, or survival or growth. For a lot of people, I would say for most Americans right now, no matter where they're at, what industry they're in, whether it's health industry, relationship, business, it's about survival.
Yep.
How do I survive this thing? And if your languaging and your offers and the content that you're putting out there is not meeting people there, that's likely why you're not selling if you're not right now.
And people absolutely are buying. People absolutely are selling. I even saw you made a post on your Facebook page. Maybe this was yesterday or over the weekend. You had a client who's closed, and if I'm misquoting this, correct me, I think $100,000 in the month of April already. Is that right?
Yeah, she did $96,000 last week.
Okay, that's what I saw. Okay. So there's the proof that people are buying, and it's okay to be selling right now. So if anybody here is really looking to make higher ticket sales, how can they find out more about you? What do you have going on over there in your world?
So here's something that's super cool. That's a right now thing. I'm doing a 4-day cash creation challenge. We're the last week of April, and I want to do a couple of things. I want to show you, basically, if you never met me before, I want to show you how I roll. But the second thing I want to show you is what can happen when you put focus, momentum, and you can gain traction in just a few short days. So what can happen in 4 days when you're focused? We're literally going to be making money this week. We start today. And I want to show quarantine and COVID-19 who's boss, because we can still make money right now. I usually do this challenge in June, and I moved it up for this very reason, to do it right now, because I think it's a right now thing. And so if you want to blow your own mind with what's possible and just do some fun challenges over the next couple of days that will have you connecting with people, generating leads, generating sales and cash, then where you want to go is letsmakemoresales.com. If you go to letsmakemoresales.com, it's funny, I haven't really used that domain, but it's the easiest way to give it to them right now.
And there's no like backslash, it's just letsmakemoresales.com?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And it'll take you to a landing page.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it'll take you to a landing page.
On the screen right now, Shamika. I'm going to join.
Oh, shoot, I forgot you could do that. Let's give them a different domain name because this is better.
Oh, okay.
Let's go to sales-bootcamp.com. That's more fun. Sales-bootcamp.com. It'll take you to my Facebook Messenger. When you get there, type level up. Okay. And it'll follow the prompts, and it'll take you through how to find the secret location for the Cash Creation Challenge. We start today at noon Pacific time.
Noon. Okay. That's in from right now in this moment, that's in almost a little over an hour. I'm going to sign up. Yeah.
So much. It's just fun, right? We're going to be doing, every day I'm giving one challenge. I give an assignment, and then I give a cash creation challenge. And literally, this should be a course that people pay for. It's not, that's how I roll. I don't do challenges that are like fluff on top. You're literally, the last time we did this, we made almost $300,000 in 4 days. As
a collective group going through the challenge.
As a collective group.
I mean, that's not even in a paid program. Imagine what your people are doing in your paid programs.
Absolutely. They're killing it right now. They're having their biggest sales months, biggest sales days, closing their largest sales they've ever closed to date ever during this crisis, because they are not reacting. They are responding to the needs of their clients in their marketplace right now.
Yeah. All the more reason to be connected to a mentor, to be in community.
Absolutely.
Leading, to be elevating, to be innovating, and seriously taking action right now. Because as our mentor says, there's always new leadership on the other side of chaos, confusion, recession. Now's your chance, people. Now's your chance to leapfrog, as one of our friends says, to leapfrog to the front of the pack. So
I believe that.
This is amazing. Such rich value. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I love this conversation. Is super powerful. I hope you guys have gotten a lot out of it. Thank you so much for having me here, Megan.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.